Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, we are going to be checking out what I think might be one of the best Nintendo controllers that we've gotten so far. Today, we're going to be checking out the NYXI Warrior wireless controller. And NYXI did send this controller over to me for review, but they didn't pay for my thoughts. This is all my original thoughts and feelings, and I've really enjoyed my time with this controller, so let me tell you why. First and foremost, it's very clear that NYXI was inspired by the original GameCube controller for the Warrior, and I love that. If you know me, I'm a huge GameCube guy. I grew up on the GameCube, and it's probably my favorite Nintendo console ever. Is there a bit of nostalgia, rose-tinted glasses there? Absolutely, right? But I will take no GameCube slander. The controller rocks, and I'm super stoked to see this modernized version of it. And right out of the box, you can already tell what I'm talking about, right? The buttons look like they're the same shape, they're in the same layout. You have the one yellow analog stick, the beautiful indigo colorway, all right? I love the indigo colorway of the GameCube. So this thing's passing the look test, right? I mean, it looks beautiful. Look at it side by side with the GameCube controller. This thing is basically just a modern work of art in my mind. But besides looks, this thing performs great too. And the first thing that I want to talk about that sets this controller aside is its awesome compatibility. So not only does the NYXI Warrior, work with the Nintendo Switch, you just click the button up top of the controller like any other third-party controller, you use Bluetooth and pair it, right? Nothing crazy there. But it comes with this GameCube style dongle that you can actually hook up to your original GameCube or your Nintendo Wii. You can use this modern work of art on the old retro consoles. And let me tell you, I just love that. I mean, how often do you get a controller that works on both new and old consoles without having to buy some sort of extra dongle from a third-party company? It's just boom, already packed in there. I love that. And for the price of $65, I think that's a banging deal already, right? You're getting a controller for your Switch, your GameCube, your Wii. And the other thing to keep in mind too is this does work with PC. Now you can use some Bluetooth connection there, or you can hook up the dongle to your PC itself, and boom, you're connected to the PC as well. So you can use this controller on 4 platforms. That already stood out to me. That's a huge, huge win. I've been playing a ton of Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker on the Warrior controller on the original GameCube, right? I'm using the original hardware. I'm not emulating anything, and it just makes that OG experience so much better. I love playing games on their original hardware, and usually that means the original controller too, but this thing definitely is worth the upgrade. And quick side note, the battery life on this thing while I was playing the GameCube and Wii also was pretty great. I would say about 15 to 20 hours. NYXI quotes it at about 15 to 20 as well. In my experience, I was closer to the 20-hour side, so yeah, this is a super convenient way to play retro games. But compatibility aside, let's talk about the controller. Let's talk about some of the hardware on the controller that makes the Warrior great. First things first, the Warrior features some optical micro switches for the A, B, Y, X buttons, as well as the D-pad and the shoulder buttons. And just listen to how satisfying these sound. These are like the perfect switches for me. They're not super loud. The clickiness isn't really annoying. It's got that like perfect feel and feedback to it. I think the switches on this controller are fantastic. Now we'll flip the controller to the back. We do have some modern upgrades to the back of this controller. As you can see, you do have 2 programmable back buttons. And I gotta be honest with you, I will probably never use these. Now it makes sense for some modern games, right? Like I could definitely see you wanting to use these on some Switch games. I know a lot of people love back buttons and they're super convenient. But again, what made me really attracted to the Warrior was playing it on retro consoles. So this was a feature I didn't use much, but for anybody that really wants it or doesn't even care about it, but they're glad it's there, that's a huge win. Next up on the back, you can see we have some adjustable triggers. Same thing as the back button. This is probably for more modern games, right? I can't see a ton of people using this, but again, if anybody wants to use it, you can see there is an adjustment there. It makes the triggers click down really quick if you have it switched all the way up, or if you have it switched all the way down, you can get a really deep click there. Now, we talked about the analog sticks coming into the video. As you can see, you have the yellow analog stick there that looks like the original C stick, but what's really cool is NYXI includes some swappable analogs just in case you don't want that small analog as your secondary. You get a full-sized extra yellow stick in the box, and it's super easy to swap out. You just rotate the little guard there, pop the analog out, pop the new one in, and put the guard back on. And you even have the option to have the hexagon kind of shape on the analog or a smooth circle as well if you don't like the hexagon design. And as we're talking about analog sticks, the Warrior does feature Hall effect joysticks, which just means you're not going to get stick drift with these bad boys. NYXI actually advertises you will never get stick drift on the Warrior in its lifetime. And to me, Hall effect joysticks are kind of a staple that you need to have if you're going to be a serious competitor in the third-party space. We all know it's not a secret. Nintendo has a huge Joy-Con drift problem. I'm not sure if the Pro controller really faces that problem, but we know it's a hot topic, right? So again, if you want to be serious, you have to have Hall effect joysticks. Almost every respectable third-party controller has them at this point, so I'm glad they included the Hall effect joysticks on the Warrior. Modern-day Switch players will really like to hear that this controller does feature feature HD rumble, so you are getting a great rumble and feedback when you're playing those modern games. For me, it's not really a make or break, but I know some people are super serious about the feedback on there. So yeah, this controller does feature HD rumble. You will be satisfied with the rumble effect on this. Now again, this is a wireless controller. You can charge it via USB-C, which also means you can play it wired too. So if you're out of battery and you're playing on a modern system or your PC, you can totally just plug it in. And again, I never really had to do that. I just charged it when I wasn't gaming. Now that's it for the features when it comes to the Warrior. Now I'm gonna give you some of my quick impressions and notes of playing this thing. Again, I pretty much just use the Warrior on retro consoles. I used it playing GameCube games on the original GameCube and playing GameCube games on the Wii. I got some Mario Sunshine in and some Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. So I got some platforming and combat experience on the Warrior, and I love the controller. It is super comfortable. It has a matte finish. It feels like the weight of it feels perfect. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. It feels like a sturdy product, right? It doesn't feel cheap. Even using this wirelessly on the GameCube and Wii, so using it on the OG consoles, I had no input lag or anything that would, totally destroy the immersive experience. The feedback on the controller feels great. The buttons are responsive. What else can I say other than NYXI mastered making a modernized GameCube controller? You can find the NYXI Warrior for about $65 on the NYXI website. And again, I can't stress this enough. Between the performance of the controller and just the wild compatibility of it, this thing is totally worth it. I mean, we've seen a ton of GameCube controllers in the past, right? We've gotten third-party ones. As we're approaching the Switch 2 launch, they're making an official one for the Switch 2. And NYXI's even made like the Joy-Con styled GameCube controllers in the past. But I feel like we haven't gotten a really good regular controller styled by the GameCube. And if we have, it's just for the modern consoles, right? It doesn't cover the GameCube, the Nintendo Wii. It's the compatibility of it that really sells me, especially if you're a GameCube fan or love playing OG GameCube games. You gotta check this thing out. And since it has a Bluetooth connection, I would think it would work with the Switch 2. Don't quote me on that. It's obviously nothing official. NYXI didn't give me any word on that. But since it's just a Bluetooth connection, I think this thing will work with Switch 2 as well, which means when GameCube Online comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, if you missed getting the actual Nintendo Switch version of the GameCube controller, you can totally pick up the Warrior and probably get a better experience with it, in my opinion. So that is my thoughts on the NYXI Warrior. I want to give NYXI a shout out for sending this bad boy over for review. If you are interested in the Warrior, you can check the link below and let me know what's your favorite Nintendo controller. And I will catch you on the next one.